OITC 2016. This is interviews, music reviews, and more. This is The Hotter Show.
What is up, everybody? We're rolling out of you here today in episode 331 of The Hotter Show. I hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Thank you so very much for tuning in and clicking that play button. On today's episode of the podcast, we have an absolutely earth-shattering episode for you here today, as we are doing a little music showcase for One in the Chamber's brand new EP, Reload. And I am joined on this music showcase by Christian Dotto, who is the bass player for One in the Chamber. We heard from Christian not all that long ago, but when we last spoke to him, the EP was not out, so I was very excited to get him back on for another fantastic chat to do some breaking down commentary of each track, as well as he provides some background on the recording process and kind of how the pandemic did affect the release of the EP, and then also how they did a little kind of a little pre-release pre-order campaign for Reload, and how much fun that was and who they worked with. So we have a lot of fun. Definitely get to hear some kick-ass rock and roll as we do hear all 5 tracks. So I'm very excited to jump into that. Before we get into some kick-ass rock and roll here, I want to give a second to give a humongous shout out to everybody who supported last week's episode of the show. My chat with Tanner Wood and CM Peters of the Baseline Feed podcast. A badass podcast. You guys should go check them out. They actually did drop the second part of The Worst of the Worst, which is their 3rd official episode, on Saturday, as you guys are hearing this, last Saturday. So go check it out. They're great people. They deserve your support. If you're into audio dramas or storytelling podcasts, go check out Baseline Feed. And if you're a writer or a voice actor, or you are an aspiring writer or voice actor, hit them up. Let them know your boy TJ sent you, because they're always looking for people to work with. So go hit them up, and thank you everybody for their support on that episode. And now let's get into this Hotter Show music showcase of One in the Chamber's brand new EP, Reload, with my man Christian Dotto, bassist of One in the Chamber. Let's get into it. We got my man bringing the low end thump for One in the Chamber, Christian Dotto, back on the Hotter Show. Christian, what's up, brother? How you doing?
How's it going, TJ? I'm good. Thanks for having me on again.
Oh man, it was such a blast last time. I said to you, like, dude, we got to do this again, like ASAP. And I think after, just to completely break the fourth wall here, I think after you were like, hey, like, you know, like we had talked about the EP, obviously was coming out soon, but we didn't have a date officially. So you were like, hey, like, you know, we got the EP coming. And I'm like, well, we got to get together for that. So we're here on the Hotter Show Music Showcase to, of course, play for you guys the EP in its entirety, and then we're going to kind of do a little bit of a song by song commentary from the bassist of One in the Chamber, of course, and then also we're going to talk a little bit about some behind the scenes stuff for the EP, kind of before we get to hear some of these badass tunes. And man, just first and foremost, to jump in head first, like the EP is fucking badass, man. Like I knew it was going to be, because obviously we had heard Blow and To the Gallows, but like adding in those 3 songs, I was like, man, like I hope they're bangers. And I was just like, yeah, like, holy shit, these are good.
I appreciate it. Yeah. We don't disappoint. And we're always trying to put out songs that don't sound like our other songs. We always try to explore different avenues and stuff. And yeah, like we're really happy with the quality of the recordings on Reload, thanks to Murray Daigle at Phase 1 Studios. And yeah, I was listening to the EP the day it was released, listening to it for the first time after its release. And I was like, man, this is a good record. And not to toot my own horn, but I was like, man, this is like damn good. This is a damn good record, and we're all so proud of it. So,
and I mean, just to be honest, like you guys should be, because it's so, you know, like what is so fun about what you guys bring to the table is, yes, you have that kind of more of a hard hitting nostalgic feel to your stuff, where like it in your heart, it feels kind of familiar, but It's very unique. It's very modern. The recording and everything is very clean. The tone is very modern. It doesn't sound like you're trying to, oh, well, these bands are great, so let's try and sound like them the way they did 40 or years ago or so. It's like, hey, you kind of have that old soul while still being very modern.
Yeah, that's definitely our intention is to sort of just carve our own path and write whatever we like playing. You know, right. There are so many bands that that did that, like that I'm big fans of. Like Black Sabbath did that in the 70s, and one of my favorites, Avenged Sevenfold. They sort of just write whatever they want, and Metallica as well. You know, these bands stood out from what was popular and stood out from the crowd, and they wrote music that they just wanted to play and that they loved. And that's kind of the idea behind One in the Chamber too, is we write what we like and we love what we write. And, you know, that's kind of how it goes. And we're happy that people are liking what they're hearing.
Right on, man. Well, at the end of the day, like, that's what's important. If you're not digging what you're putting out, why are you doing it? Like, at the end of the day, like, oh, well, this song people should like. Well, do you like it? Meh. It's like, well, what are you doing? Like, you got to play stuff that you enjoy, and you can hear in the recording, like, it comes through the speaker. Like, it just sounds like you guys are having a blast playing these songs, even in the studio. Obviously, live, that's a whole other ball game. But I think what was so cool about the recording as well is it still feels very raw in a good way. Like, it feels like it would be to see you guys live. Like, it's clean, but like it's not super overproduced. Like a lot of rock music nowadays, there can be a little bit of overproduction with some stuff. And I'm like, I understand it has its place, but like, I miss those kind of old school raw, more raw sounding recordings. And that's what you guys have with this EP with Reload.
Yeah. Thank you. Actually, Mike expressed this in another interview we did, but we write songs to play them live.
Right.
Like, we're very much a live rock band, and we started off as a live band. And so the songs we write is intended to, look good and sound good on stage. So I think that comes across in the recordings, because we're just like, all right, what would look cool while we're playing this? And
right. And I do a hair flip at this part. Let's be honest.
It's obviously that's what's going on through my head. It's accenting where I'm flipping my hair, but yeah, like for example, To the Gallows has those two guitar solos, and both played by each played by Cecil and then Mike near the end of the song. And all of our songs came together organically, and To the Gallows is no exception. And the intent was to, like, not only for it to sound cool, but like to look cool performing. Right. Where you have, like, I've always thought it was cool when two guitar players are sort of trading off soloing, and it's got this like epic vibe to it. So I think To the Gallows, that was like what we were going for with the song, as well as the other things. But we write to play them live and like add to our stage show. So
right, because that is important when you're a band that has the energy that you guys have and are known as this badass live band. Like, if you release a song that like won't have that energy live, it's like, well, like, hey, it could be a great song, but if you don't bring that energy the same way as the rest of the tracks, like, will it almost feel maybe out of place in your set? So it's good to hear that you guys are always conscious of that, because it's like, man, that's One in the Chamber are an exciting, energy-driven rock band, and that's what you expect from One in the Chamber. So, to turn on the EP and it's just like 5 songs, all bam, bring the energy, bring the rawness, bring that just straight up badass rock and roll sound. And it's awesome to hear that's that was something you guys had kind of going into it. Walk me through a bit now. When you were on before, we talked a little bit about how the big C word did affect this EP. Walk me through that a little bit and kind of the early stages of writing and recording Reload.
Sure. So Reload was supposed to be released in 2020. Then the big C word.
You can say the pandemic. You just can't say the C word because apparently podcasts might get flagged. I don't know. I don't want to experiment with that.
Fair enough. So the pandemic hit, and we had this whole thing planned out for 2020. We were gonna release Blow. We were gonna release another single, release the EP, and then maybe release another single after that, and play shows in between. Boom, 2020 we nailed it. So then the pandemic hit, and all of those plans went down the drain, and we had to sort of take a step back and reevaluate our planning and stuff. So we released Blow like planned, and it turned out to be our biggest release so far. We got a lot of press on it, a lot of great feedback from our fans, and just like a ton of streams, and we were really happy about that.
I think it was something like 80,000 Spotify streams or some crazy number like that, something like that. I think crazy.
I think around that, yeah.
a minuscule amount, let's be like, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you to everybody who streamed and is continuing to stream Blow and all of our music. So we're always grateful for it. We released Blow, and we milked it as much as we possibly could. Because we all know, there were no shows happening.
Right.
So how are we supposed to promote ourselves otherwise? So we were very fortunate to have recorded music before the pandemic hit. And so we released Blow, and our intent was actually to do a video for Oysters and Champagne in the summer. I think it was the summer. And that didn't end up working out because of the pandemic, and just logistically with the pandemic, it didn't end up working out. So we had to sort of shelf that idea for the time being. And so as we were waiting for the pandemic to lighten up in 2020, it wasn't really lightening up. So in the fall, we decided to release a single for To the Gallows, and just to sort of fill in the space. Blow, the hype for Blow was kind of
after a year. Yeah. Almost. Well, I guess not quite a full year, but even after a few months, as much as you're still pushing it, it's okay, it's going to start winding down a bit, right? Absolutely.
So we're okay, we got to put something out. We're sitting on these songs anyway. So we decided to put To the Gallows out, which I don't even think we were planning on releasing it as a single to begin with. But that also got really great feedback. So it was cool that we put it out. And just honestly, and going back, it's great that we even recorded it, because initially it wasn't our first choice to record that song. So just everything just worked out. Really happy we recorded it and released it as a single. I think it showed a different side to One in the Chamber.
Right.
A darker, maybe more mature side to our songwriting. And so, that was 2020. Sort of salvaged what we could. 2021 was pretty much continuing to wait for things to lift. And we were sort of kept a steady stream of content going, which was cool. And then later in the year, things opened up a bit. We played a few shows near the end. From August to November, we played a string of shows. Voodoo Rock Fest was our first show since the pandemic started. That was last August. And it was an amazing experience to be back on stage after a year and a half. So that was cool. And then things kind of shut down near the end of last year.
Right. Yeah. 2021, like that, it was, and that's what was so depressing about it, right? Is like we saw a little bit and then it just
yeah,
took a nosedive.
It's like, why? Like, are we back here again? Like, come on.
It's like, come on, man.
Yeah. So, yeah. And so like at some point we were like, you know what, let's just release this EP. We've been sitting on it for like 2 years now. We're going to release it and eventually we're going to play a release show for it eventually. Hopefully tentatively next month. But we're still in the planning stages. But we were just like, okay, let's release this. Also, not to mention, we planned that our pre-order campaign for Reload as well, which was great for filling in the gap while we're waiting for things.
Having some fun content that was a little more to show off your guys' personality a little bit, right?
Yeah, and like I'll get into that a bit later, but that was a huge success and a lot of fun to put together. So I got to thank Jared for planning that out and putting a lot of work into making it happen and putting it together. We actually filmed all of it at his former house because he and his wife moved recently to a new house, but it was a lot of fun. We went over to their place and recorded everything. And yeah, amazing turnout. So here we are. We released Reload and have been getting amazing feedback. Again, thank you to everybody who has listened and is continuing to listen to it. And that's sort of the history of the road to Reload.
The road to Reload. I like it. That's awesome.
Those actually aren't my words, but I got to thank Anthony LeClaire for that slogan, but I dig it. So I'm going to say it.
Road to, yeah. Well, I mean, we're going to use that here on shout out to them because that's badass. Well, I have to ask something real quick as a silly, stupid, fun question. So being that I know that you guys, the Metallica influence has kind of always been there a little bit. So I have to ask, obviously One in the Chamber, Reload, goes hand in hand. Oh. Awesome, beautiful. But have you had any idiots come up to you and being like, "Hey man, so like, are you guys just really big Metallica fans, or what's going on with that?" Or am I the first idiot to mention the Reload reference?
Yeah, so we've had a couple people being like, "Does that have any?" Actually, speaking of Anthony LeClaire, I got that question from him.
Oh, okay, right on.
In an interview the band did with him about a month ago. Yeah, honestly, my answer is any comparison to Metallica is good with me. I mean, when we were deciding on the name of the EP, we had a couple, and Reload was one of them, mainly for the meaning behind it. So where I've got something to say was our statement. Reload is kind of like, all right, we're back at it. Like,
right.
We're reloaded.
It's really good. Yeah. Right on.
Yeah. So like we're back at this. And, so yeah, I've had a few comparisons to Metallica and, I'm all for it. So
it's never a bad thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, as a master, like Load is my favorite Metallica album and Reload is not my second favorite, but I enjoy Reload as well. But, yeah, so I was like, I had to at least ask that silly question because I was curious about that. But that's all awesome to hear, man. Like like you say, the road to Reload, and I know that it's tricky dealing with with the pandemic and having to get things going. But you mentioned, I want to go back for a second. You mentioned the pre-order campaign. And I'm going to set the scene for everybody. So I went on Facebook randomly one day, and it wasn't too long after the EP was announced. So I was like, oh, what's going on? I'm scrolling through, and all of a sudden I see you, and I'm like, oh, what's Christian doing? And then I'm looking, and you're just eating fried chicken. And like I didn't see, it was like one of those like Facebook preview videos. So like I didn't have any context. It was just you sitting at a table eating fried chicken, and my first thought was, well, that fried chicken looks delicious. But then I was like, what's he doing? And then obviously come to find out about that. So I have to ask first and foremost, how was the fried chicken?
Oh, it was phenomenal. Oh man, Chica's chicken is my favorite chicken ever. And yeah, huge shout out to them. Yeah, the chicken was fantastic as usual. So
now, how many times do you have to remake that video because you made a mistake?
Yeah, wink,
you guys
wink.
can't see it, but I hit him with the wink. That's
Yeah. So to be honest, so we did two. So each of us had two things to film. So we had the main video, our parts in the main video, and then we had the individual videos, which is the one you came across at first, showcasing each sponsor. So my take for the main video was very good. I had it almost pretty much memorized, and it was good, but I didn't have the individual videos take memorized. So, I mean, take it how you will. I had to do a lot of retakes,
but I
had
mean,
to take a lot of bites out of that chicken, but I don't regret it. So,
listen, it's just you and me here right now, man. Let's be honest. You wanted more chicken, right?
Oh, I always want more Chicas. You follow them on Instagram, and like every day they're posting, or almost every day they post a picture of like a sandwich, and I'm just like, man, Chicas, like first thing in the morning, you got to make me hungry for your chicken sandwiches, man. Like it's delicious.
I might need to make the drive, man. Like that's yeah. That's all. But it was such a fun thing that you guys did with this this pre-order thing, and you had a couple different sponsors. Where did kind of the idea come from to have that happen?
So got to give Jared credit for it. He had this idea, and actually this was inspired by a couple of other pre-order campaigns from a couple of our other favorite bands. First being Sumo Psycho. They did a tremendous pre-order campaign for their latest release, Initiation. And they had this cool thing where there were like different tiers of like merch, and you could like sort of pick your favorite tier, and like which is all like color coordinated. So there was like this pink one, and there's this blue one, and this yellow one, and they were releasing videos based on that, and it was like this huge grand pre-order campaign, and we were very inspired by it. So on a much lesser level, we kind of did this pre-order campaign. We focused our campaign mainly on the music and some of the merchandise. Actually, one big thing we took from Sumo Psycho's campaign was the personalized USBs.
Yes.
So we just put a whole bunch of exclusive content on the USBs, and anybody who chose to purchase those would have this cool content that has never been posted before. And some of it has been live streamed before, but people would have that on their USB to view whenever they wanted. So that's one thing we took from them, and some of the inspiration from the pre-order campaign. And also Protest the Hero did a really cool crowdfunding campaign when they released their Volition record back in 2016, I think, maybe before, I can't remember, but that's where the inspiration for our Reload campaign video came from. Sort of like going between each band member, explaining the campaign, explaining the merchandise or the products that we're selling, and sort of tossing a mic to each other between each scene. That was like purely inspired by Protest the Hero. And, I give them full credit because they do a lot of stuff themselves. And their video was very well done. And I'm glad we finally were able to make a video that, came out somewhat like Protest the Heroes. So I'm personally happy about that.
I'm not going to lie to you. I thought for a second you were going to say, I got to eat some chicken, but
I mean, that too.
I thought you were going to mess with me for a second.
we ate like kings and queen. Jared's wife was there, but we ate like royalty after my scene. An entire table filled with chicken. You know, it was
come on,
it was delicious.
That's awesome. Well, on top of that too, you guys had a couple other sponsors involved. You had Sock Bro involved as well, and also, if I'm not mistaken, you guys had your own collaboration with Hades Coffee. You had your own blend of coffee.
Yep. So, so Sock Bro is it's a couple of friends of mine who started up a sock shop. And I'm sorry, Matt and Ihor, I can't remember when you started your shop, but they've been going strong for a little while now, within the last couple of years, I would say. And their socks are pretty much all I wear now. They got these cool socks with like designs on them and stuff. You saw a couple of them in Cecil's video, his promo video, where he was wearing like socks on his hands and his feet. And
yes.
I'll get into that later because, man, I could not stop laughing during the filming of that. But I'll get into that later. But yeah, Sock Bro, I'm really happy for them. They're doing really well for themselves, and we were happy to take them on, to have collaborate with them for the campaign. And so Hades Coffee, I believe they're based out of North Bay or somewhere around North Bay. And I don't know the full story, but it's a friend of Anthony Leclerc's. And so I guess Anthony turned him on to our music, and he was like, oh, like, I really like these guys. And I believe Hades Coffee, he likes to make coffee for bands and local bands especially. So at some point, I think it was in 2020 actually. So it's been for a while that we've known about that we have our own coffee, but so Anthony reached out to Jared, and he's like, yeah, my buddy wants to make a signature one in the chamber blend of coffee. And we're like, Jared's like, all right, I'll talk to the band and see what they think. But obviously we're like, hell yeah.
Who doesn't want their old blend of coffee? Like, come on.
Yeah. So that's another, like, we made it moment. It's like, we got our own coffee. Like, that's awesome. So we had it as a prize for the pre-order campaign, but we're planning on putting it out at some point in the future and selling the coffee
right on. Okay.
Regularly. Yeah. Yeah. So we were happy to have our sponsors on, and Muskoka Brewery was a really lucky one to have them on board for our campaign as well. So got to thank them.
I mean, yeah, huge shouts to them. I'm a big fan of their products that I enjoy on occasion here in Peterborough. I enjoy responsibly on occasion. That's fantastic, man. That's badass. Well, listen, I think it is high time that we let these wonderful people hear some music from Reload. If you guys have not heard the EP, you got 5 songs. They're all badass. You're going to hear them right now. I think that you guys are really going to enjoy it. So we have, again, 5 tracks. First track we have is Blow. Then we have Baby Doll, Crooked Girl, Oysters and Champagne, and then To the Gallows. So we're going to listen to the EP. Then we're going to come back with Christian. He's going to give us a little commentary for each track when we come back here on the Hog Show Music Showcase, featuring One in the Chambers Reload. Crank it up. Let's get into it.
sound. I got a lot to let you know, but I'll let you find it all out. To tease me, please believe me, throw your troubles away. Cause when I give you a taste, you lay it all on me. I said, baby doll, you need some rock and roll. Cause I'm on the stage and get up on my pole. Feel at home when you're not sleeping alone. Gotta cut you loose, babe, cause it's time to just let it go. Crooked girls got me high, waiting for a surprise, telling me all the things that I can't do. She's on my mind all the time, gonna take her for a ride, up and down, side and straight, until she starts to appreciate all that I do, all that I am. When she spins and she twirls, she's my crooked girl. All that I do, all that I am. When she spins and she twirls, she's my crooked girl. Crooked girl's got a face, look at which I can't erase. Overplace all the things I have done. When she's on her knees, got the squeeze, trying to get my car keys, just to be a tease towards my stepson. Boy, what you gonna do with a lady like that? With a lady like that? With a lady like that? 'Cause when she spins and she twirls, she's my crooked girl. Papa always told me stay away from crooked girls. Strippers love a man with a pocket full of extra bills. Mama always told me stay away from crooked girls, 'cause that love doesn't have a chance to last with a crooked past. All that I do and all that I am, when she spins and she twirls, she's my crooked girl. All that I do and all that I am, when she spins and she twirls, she's my crooked girl. Bring them their power low. And tell me, what am I supposed to do? But holding on to you isn't really holding on at all. The mere thought of you is like fragments of a song. Try this out instead. Stay away from my bed. And while you're at it, try not to be so crooked. Papa always told me stay away from crooked girls. Strippers love a man with a pocket full of extra bills. Mama always told me stay away from crooked girls, 'cause that love doesn't have a chance to last with a crooked past. Papa always told me stay away from crooked girls. Strippers love a man with a pocket full of extra bills. Mama always told me stay away. But all that I do and all that I am, when she spins and she sit for two chair or booth. Some fresh round sprinkled down. The mise en place is pointed, crystal speaker law on main, and each one dressed in Africans, hard naked bones and stains. That's just what they're wearing when a faster can be spared. But faster's never faster when there's nothing left to wear. No time like now, join the crowd. I sit for two chair or booth. Some fresh round sprinkled down. You know you'll come around. I'm running out this wide. Can't see shit through the haze. Not everyone's insane. I can't help you score. No father come, but it hurts. The runners dance to music, pass away with tiny rounds. But the harshness taste of Mr. Past feels already awful sound. The band is stocking up a digestivo to your meal. Don't venture for the back rooms where the fresh ones always squeal. The band starts to fill your cup. The bar stool or seat the door. The champagne's popped, scotch and rocks. Be ready's on the bar. I'm running out this wide. Can't see shit through the haze. Not everyone's insane. I can't help you score the father call. I'm running out this wide. Can't see shit through the haze. Not everyone's insane. I can't help you score no father come, but it hurts. I'm running out this wide. Can't see shit through the haze. No, not everyone's insane. I can't help you score. I can't help you score. I can't help you score. No father come, but it hurts. I've broken free of the shackles you're giving to me. I'm amazed at the way that the souls up you play with their lives like a game. It's so riddled with pain that it teases. All the lies in your cries, they tear up at me. But please, no, no, God. makes you weep. But to tame what I say lets the guilty ones play, so I'll drown them in hate, watch the little ones play on their grave. All your cries deep inside, to me you're nothing. But please, no, no, God, please, oh baby, I'll give you everything I want you make. Oh, I'm gonna rip on your tongue. You'll never tease again.
Guys, there you go. Reload by One in the Chamber in its entirety. I hope that you guys have recovered from having your faces absolutely rocked off, because that's a badass EP. Again, to give you guys the tracks, the first song that you heard was entitled Blow. The second song is Baby Doll. The third song is Crooked Girl. The fourth song was Oysters and Champagne. And then the fifth song was To the Gallows. So, Christian, let's dive in, man. Walk me through Blow.
Oh man, where do I begin? So, Blow is one of my favorites. Like, they're all my favorite, but Blow.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's
yeah.
You're gonna say this with every song, aren't you? Yeah. Baby Doll's one of my favorites. But
yeah, like every song I talk about is just gonna start like that. But Blow is really cool. It's one of my favorites because musically, there's so much going on, especially in the verses, and I think it's really cool that we make it work in like a cohesive and like digestible manner.
Right.
And I mean, musically anyway. And I mean, not to mention the riff is pretty cool, and like it's heavy.
But like for the rhythm section though, like it's a really fun song, I would imagine, for you guys to play, because it's very groove oriented, right?
Yeah. It's super. I love how heavy it is as a metalhead.
Right.
And yeah, like it's cool. So I guess the origins of that one. I had a couple riffs that I was working on at home that I brought to the band, and funny enough, the riff that Cecil plays in the first verse, was actually supposed to be the chorus of this song I was writing. And, you guys all just heard it, but if you listen back again, what Cecil's playing, what he's playing in the first verse was originally going to be the main riff of the song I was writing.
Okay.
And what I play in the first verse was supposed to be like the verse of that. So I brought that to the band, and almost immediately Mike was like, it's too metal. I'm like, come on, man, it's cool. Like, okay, it's heavy, but it's not like too metal. Like, come on, man. He's like, no, it's too heavy, whatever. So I taught Mike the riff, and he started playing it on guitar, and started messing around with it, and eventually wrote the riff that you hear in the recorded song. So he took the riff I brought in and made it more rock. And I think it was for the best, to be honest, because it's a lot more hooky than what I had. But I am glad that my original thing still made it into the song.
Right. Yeah. The bones of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like all the songs on this EP, everything sort of came together organically. We jammed on it. And it came together eventually really nicely. That song in particular, took me a little while to write my bass parts for. It was very, what's the word? It's actually one of the more difficult songs I play. There's a lot of like bass runs I do but the song is just so high in energy. I felt like I just needed the bass to reflect that. And
a lot of movement happening.
Yeah. And to sort of like reflect that energy and also showcase my Cliff Burton inspired bass runs. So yeah, Blow I love how heavy it is. It's a staple in our sets. It's been a staple in our sets since like the beginning of 2019, I would say. We went in to record it, and Murray, our producer, he tweaked a few parts. He made a couple small changes, and it turned out to be really good. So I was very happy with that. And like I said, like turned out to be our biggest release up to this point. So again, thank you everyone for listening. And and not to get too technical with the music, but the verses have 3 different things going on between the 2 guitars and my bass. And I'm almost fascinated with like how everything worked out. And without getting too much into it, like we're all doing different things, but it's all like sort of intricately moving around this core musical idea. And then it all comes together in the chorus, and the music just sort of goes in and out. Everything is just sort of like waving in and out. And sometimes it comes together. Sometimes it, disperses and does its own cool thing, but still in a cohesive manner. And it's a great song, I'd say.
Definitely so, man. And I mean, like, again, like, coming together for that big chorus with the hook, like, come on, man. It's just a good, dirty old rock and roll song with a little bit of, some metal heaviness happening too.
Absolutely. And also the lyrics, I got to say, when Cecil first read me, so Mike wrote the lyrics for Blow. And I remember one day we were driving back from practice, and Mike had sent us all the lyrics to Blow. And Cecil was reading them to me, and I was like, this is like very sexual. I'm like, Mike wrote this? Like, like what would Miranda? No, Miranda's cool. She, I'm sure she's totally cool with it, but I was like, whoa, Mike wrote these. These are like very, a little bit more explicit than
pretty forward, but like it's rock and roll, right? Like she fits me like a glove. I was kind of like, okay, I see you. All right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of the lyrics.
For sure. Same here. Yeah.
It's like, this is the, it's what every rock band wants to like give off. The vibe you want to give off is like sex, drugs, rock and roll. Like we're this badass rock band, and here's what we're singing about. And so it's cool. They're I like how forward they are. It's like, we're not messing around,
without being like juvenile, like just to say that, like, cause it's almost like some stuff. It's almost like, come on, man, really? Like, you have to say exactly what you said the way you said it. But with this song, it's still vague enough that it's like, okay, it's really clever the way it was written while still being very forward. You know what's going on.
Yeah. Mike is really great at doing that. He's a great lyricist. And I'll talk about like the lyrics for the other songs too, to the best of my ability. But I have such an admiration for Mike's writing. I think he's a great lyricist. So great job on Blow, Mike.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, definitely super. Like, obviously, all you guys super talented, but yeah, definitely a fantastic lyricist and vocalist. And Blow definitely does showcase his that range and the grit that he has in the chorus is so powerful. So definitely a badass song and a great way to open the EP. And then from there, we move on to the second track, which is Baby Doll.
So Baby Doll is probably the most straightforward song on the album. I remember at one point, I thought, I think it was Cecil came up with the chorus riff. And I was like, that's too generic. And I'm like, this is like it should be different. We don't want to write like a generic chorus, but at the end, we all agreed that it's okay to write generic stuff sometimes. Maybe not even generic. It's just more straightforward. And it turned out really good. That song also came together like very organically. I think Cecil came up with the riff, the main riff, and yeah, it just came together fairly quickly. Structurally, I'm a big fan of the structure. The sort of verse pre-chorus, verse pre-chorus, chorus, as opposed to like verse chorus kind of thing. I know Anthrax does that a lot when they'll sing a verse and then they'll sing this like pre-chorus, and then you think the chorus is coming, but it'll go back into another verse. Right. And I'm a big fan of that. I'm glad we incorporated that into into Baby Doll. Because it's a cool vibe. The whole like pre-chorus thing, it like re-energizes the second verse that is to come. And I also think it creates suspense for the chorus, which comes eventually. So I like that. Took me a while to actually finalize the bass for that one. I actually finalized it probably like 1 or 2 weeks before going in to record it. Actually. Oh, wow. I was so indecisive with that. The chorus was always straightforward. I always wanted to play it with the guitars. Right. But the verses and the sort of like the riff itself it always felt a bit empty to me. I was playing what the guitars were playing, and it always felt a little bit like it needed something else. So I remember just being at home, I set up a MIDI drum track. So for those of you who don't know, MIDI is like very shitty sounding computer music. Yeah. So I have a tablature program that I can program drums into the program, and comes out with these like computer drums that sound awful, but
it does the job for writing and jamming and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So just sitting there for like, I don't even know how much time, but like I would not give up until I came up with something that felt right. And eventually it came up with that cool walking bass line thing that kind of plays around the riff.
Fill in that spot because it has that cool riff, which is a trade-off riff, right? So I know what you're saying. You kind of having that little walking. It was really, really cool to have that space filled.
Yeah. Yeah. My thoughts exactly. Yeah, kind of reminds me of like, what's that Michael Jackson song?
Say which one?
The one with the walking bass line.
Which
anyway,
Billie Jean. No.
Billie Jean is not my lover. Yeah, I've always liked that bass line in that song, and Baby Doll's bass is partially inspired by that. At least it reminds me of Billie Jean's bass line. So I'm glad I put it in there. It dances around the guitars, which I like to do a lot. I don't like to follow the guitars like all the time. I like to sort of like dance around it and make it interesting. So yeah, Baby Doll, lyrically, again, straightforward. And that's another song that I was like, Mike wrote this?
Really?
It's like, get off the stage and get up on my pole. I was like, Mike? I definitely learned about another side of Mike after reading these lyrics. So, but again, I'm a big fan of the lyrics.
A great straight up rock and roll. There's no denying what the subject matter is about, but it's still, again, it's not juvenile. It's like, it's very, and again, coming into the chorus, like it's, you know, as much as there's a lot of kind of dancing happening in the verse musically, like it all comes together for that big chorus and the hook. Like, come on. It's awesome. Yeah.
I love that Jared cuts the beat in half in the chorus, makes it very powerful, I find. And even more so where we're all playing the same thing, the guitars and the bass, and Jared just like halves those drums, and it's just like, baby doll, you know, like just, you know, very powerful. Was very happy with how the recording came together. And we layered those vocals like no tomorrow. So huge vocals, huge gang vocals, and very, very happy with how it turned out. I'm also a big fan of the guitar solo, probably my favorite guitar solo on the record. And it's all Cecil. Kudos to Cecil, man. Like, I love it. It starts off with Cecil's signature jazzy, like Avenged Sevenfold-esque guitar solo. And then the second half of the solo is just this kick-ass rock and roll guitar solo.
Very sexy guitar solo on that.
Yeah, with like that wah in there. Yeah, so huge fan of that. And I'm, you know, being a metalhead, I'm a fan of long guitar solos, especially where the rhythm guitars are sort of changing. You know, we go from the in Baby Doll, we go from the verse to the chorus while the guitar solo is still continuing. And yeah, I'm a big fan of that. We do the same thing in Itchin' Back, where we change the rhythm up and the guitar solo is still going. Kind of an ode to, like, you know, those like 80s metal bands. Metallica like does that all the time. And so yeah, that's pretty much it with Baby Doll. Jared with, also, if I don't mention the drums, like every song has groovy as hell drums, and Jared is doing his thing, and he's doing what he does best in every song. So, you know, our songs wouldn't be what they are without Jared's groove. So
he's a big yeah. Oh, for sure. Like he really brings a soulful groove to your guys' music, while still being a heavy hitter when he's in that groove. Like I was saying, in the chorus, when he cuts it in half, like he's very, very powerful while still keeping that kind of that groove, right?
Yeah, he's a big fan of like those types of drummers. Chad Smith is his biggest influence. John Bonham. I think he mentioned the drummer of Rage Against the Machine. Can't remember his name.
Brad Wilkes, I believe.
Yes, Brad Wilkes. Just drummers that are just very heavy-handed, heavy-sticked, but also bring that groove. Mm-hmm. It's not too technical. It's not too, you know, whatever. It's just like this hard-hitting, in-your-face groove. And yeah, it brings so much to One in the Chamber. So yeah, that's pretty much it with Baby Doll. Very happy with that one too. So really fun to play live as well.
Definitely so. A badass, straight up rock and roll track. Just like the third track, which from what I have seen, dare I say, has been a bit of a breakout song from the EP, and that is Crooked Girl, which I have seen more people post about how much they love this song and how it is their favorite song than anything, man. So walk me through Crooked Girl.
Oh man, Crooked Girl. Yeah, people seem to love it. and it's awesome that people are liking it. It's a very different sound. And the one cool thing I like about this record is I don't think any of the songs sound the same. So Crooked Girl certainly doesn't sound like anything we've ever really put out.
Well, just even like, not to cut you off, but like just to come in from right away, like the first 30 seconds of the song, it's like, what is going on? It's still groovy, you know, but like you're like the boom, it's like, this is like just some nice kind of groovy stuff, you know, but then it picks up and it's like, okay. So it's definitely is a really different sound for you guys for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. That song was mostly, I would say it was almost entirely written by Cecil in terms of like what he initially brought to rehearsal. He brought that cool like chord progression. I think he had the chorus all like written out and the bridge as well. The bridge is actually apparently kind of a reprise or a spiritual successor to Crooked Steps bridge, which is cool. And Cecil had mentioned that in an interview we did before, and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But kind of like a call to Crooked Step, which is very cool. That the bass in the verses especially are very inspired by Cecil. Very like Cecil's like, all right, Chris, play this, like, you know, like no more like soloing the whole song. Like I want you to play do, you know, like just like think Maroon 5. And I'm just like, dude, I don't listen to Maroon 5. Maroon 5 is a great band, but
sure, of course.
You know,
like, I mean, you still you go for a walk a little bit, but like you loop back, you know, instead of continuing to go, you just kind of loop back around the neighborhood, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. So he's like, think Maroon 5, and I was like, okay, I'll try to think like Maroon 5 here, and it lasted probably a minute into the song. And then you got that sort of like break that
I was just about to melt that out. I was like, okay, here we go. Like,
yeah, I was like, okay, I'm done with the Maroon 5.
Yeah, I'm done going for the walk in the neighborhood. I'm gonna go off to the side a bit here. Like, what's
yeah, so I did stay true to the Maroon 5 thing that Cecil did in the verses. Honestly, yes, I learned along the way that less is more sometimes, and just the verses are cool, very cool.
And if you were doing all this extra stuff, like, I don't know if it would have quite been the same, because it's so powerful what you're doing, you know, and it backs up that chord progression so well. It's like if you were just kind of noodling around, it's like, I don't know, like even if you were still in the pocket, it's like, I don't know if it'd be the same, you know?
Yeah, certainly not. And if I recall, like my initial idea was to do another walking bass line. I'm a big fan of the walking around, what's happening with the guitars. But I'm glad I decided to just stick with what was simple, and, you know, it worked out. But yeah, just like with Blow, just like with, you know, all the songs, but during the high energy parts of Crooked Girl, I wanted to reflect that energy. And so during those big breaks where it gets, you know, with those fast hits, I wanted to pull off some cool runs and some like Steve Harris kind of, you know, bass things. And the guitar is doing like, you know, like these crazy big chords, and the drums are, you know, doing the 16th note hits, and everything's going off. So everything had to reflect the energy. And I think we did a pretty good job on that. So yeah, it's a great song altogether. The bridge actually was a pain in the ass to finalize. We took a while to figure out what we wanted out of that, because initially, like, the bridge was sped up and we were playing it really fast and then slowing down after. And there were a lot of rehearsals where we were just sort of trying to feel out what we wanted there, because the bridge is so different from the rest of the song.
Yeah.
We actually had Murray Daigle help us out a bit with the structure of that song. And he helped us out with fitting the bridge in a bit nicer in the song. And it turned out, it was much more well-rounded than how we originally had it. So, we're glad we had that help from him. He's great at bringing the best out of songs. So, certainly brought out the best of Crooked Girl. Big fan of so speaking of the bridge, just big fan of everything, especially that softer part before it gets all like crazy in the second half of the bridge. Kind of country-ish with the guitars. The bass, I was thinking very Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Right.
Just kind of this very nice thing. I played some bass chords in there as well to complement the guitars and stuff. That came together nicely. All the layered guitars came together during recording. And that part's just so nice. I love listening to that part. Then it busts out into that cool, funky section or whatever. And I think I'm mixed up, actually. I think it's the other way around. But anyway.
It's all there.
It's all there. It's all part of the song.
It's all there. It's the same song, bro. It's all there.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it with that song. I'm glad it's been received so well. I think it certainly deserves to be received well, because I think it reaches out to a wider range of audience than our other songs. If you're not into hard rock or you're not into like rock and roll, you might be into Crooked Girl, because Crooked Girl is kind of like a middle ground. But it's not really straight down the middle. It's kind of unique in its own way. So that's kind of what we bring with Crooked Girl, what we bring to the table.
Right. And it's I think lyrically, it's very much a song that people can relate to in all aspects, because it's, again, pretty straightforward about what the song is about lyrically, but it's like, I think everyone can really relate to it in that way. And then also because it's such an accessible song musically, it's just kind of it's presented in a really nice way.
Absolutely. Yeah. The lyrics were also Cecil. So going back to Cecil, quite a masterpiece Cecil put together. Yeah, the lyrics are great. I to be honest, I don't know all the lyrics by heart. I do know the parts I sing, but all I know is like Cecil's one of my favorite lyricists as well. Mike does his lyrics in his own way, and Cecil does his lyrics in his own way. And I love the way both write, and I love the way Cecil words things. It's just, to me, it's so unique. I don't know where it comes from, but it's just so intriguing to me, and hopefully it's intriguing to our listeners as well. But yeah, big fan.
Definitely. I mean, we've seen it firsthand, because like I said, a lot of people have been saying that Crooked Girl's the track, man. So that's awesome. And it's definitely a great track. But yeah, big shout out to Cecil, because he definitely knocked it out of the park on that one for sure.
Yep, definitely.
Definitely. So now then the next track, of course, driving into is Oysters and Champagne. Now, before we get to the actual nitty-gritty part, I have to ask, have you ever actually had oysters and champagne before? Because that's some fancy shit.
I personally have not. I believe the other guys in the band have, at least Mike and Jared. But yeah, very fancy.
I was gonna say I've never, I'm a redneck. I've never.
I don't think I've ever had an oyster before, actually.
Yeah, I know. I've had beer and shrimp. Does that count?
It's good enough. Poor man's oysters and champagne.
Shrimp and bush. Come on now.
Yep, that's how it is.
Deep fried. No, it'd be deep fried breaded shrimp and bush. That's.
Yep. That sounds far more delicious than oysters.
Right? Come on. That's what we need.
So yeah, oysters and champagne. That's the last song we wrote for Reload. And leading up to going into the studio to record it, we had 4 songs already written and we needed a 5th. So Cecil started playing this thing on the guitar, which was variation of what he was playing into the Gallows, but more of what you hear in the song of Oysters. And it just sort of came together as this, as another song, and came together very quickly, actually. It was like, all right, guys, we need a 5th song. Let's get this going. And I would say it's kind of a testament to how where we're at as songwriters as well, that we're able to just put together a song in a short time frame like that. I think that's a testament to that. It shows growth, and ideally it happens in all bands, where they evolve, not just musically, but as songwriters, and you become more mature with your writing, and it becomes easier to piece together music. So yeah, Oysters is a cool one. I like that it's kind of eerie.
It's a really dark, kind of heavy track, right? Which was interesting for when I saw the title. I was kind of like, okay, and very good. Like, that riff is such an interesting, cool riff, and what you're doing is really groovy, but it's very heavy and kind of dark, and it's an interesting song.
Yeah, thank you. It's it's got that groove, and just kind of creepy. I don't know how.
I see in that chorus, like the down bong. It's like, whoa, like that's almost like a savvy riff there, man. I don't know, like you turn that down a half step and just slow it down a little bit, and that's like some Sabbath. I don't know. It's a cool riff. I dig it.
For sure. Thank you. Yeah. The chorus is like very powerful. And actually Oysters is another song where we don't get to the chorus right away.
Yes.
We play verse, pre-chorus, verse, pre-chorus, and then chorus finally. And, by the time you know it, you're kind of almost halfway through the song by the time you get to the chorus. And that song especially, I think, creates a lot of suspense for when the chorus hits. And, at first you might think the pre-chorus is sort of a chorus. It's like, oh, there's this thing that keeps coming back. And then like the actual chorus hits and it's just like full thing, and very impactful. And I think it works really well. I'm a big fan of that structure of music. Again, kudos to Anthrax for introducing me to that style of writing. But yeah, very weird. The song is very weird. It's heavy. There's these weird runs that, kind of tumble into the chorus, and the song, the song ends very abruptly. I keep saying organic because that is literally like the way to describe how our songwriting is. And the end of the song was as organic as it gets. We're just like, we were playing through it, and initially we didn't know how to end it, and we sort of ended it like weirdly, and Mike just belted, "But it hurts" at the end, and we're like, that'd be a really cool way to end the song, actually. Like, we just mistakenly ended the song, you know? And yeah, just very weird. Very weird. But yeah, we're actually going to be at some point, we're planning on releasing a video for Oysters and Champagne. And it was initially supposed to come out the summer of 2020, but we had to shelve it because of the pandemic. But that one is going to be a big video. It's going to be, yeah, probably our biggest video yet. Maybe it's supposed to be like very grand and theatrical. So hopefully we can get to it at some point. But I'm looking forward to how that will turn out.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely a very, and especially at where it is, like how it's before the final song, which obviously we're gonna talk about in a second. But like, it's such a To the Gallows is such a big song, and it's like it's the perfect way to end off the EP, but also like Oysters is such a cool transition, like with the overall vibe of the song. Because, you know, To the Gallows is, again, it's definitely a kind of a dark song too, right? So to have that transition from Crooked Girl, Oysters into To the Gallows is like, it's just the most perfect transition. And I'm like, man, like if there was any other song here, like if there was like another kind of more of like an up-tempo rock song, like I don't know if it would have worked, but having that just that dark kind of weird, groovy, fun song, it just works so well, man. I really do dig and also I mentioned earlier, folks, about the riff in the chorus, and I kind of melted out. That was actually the pre-chorus riff I was talking about. I realized that as Christian was talking, I was like, oh yeah, that's not the riff I was thinking of. The chorus riff is awesome as well, the progression he has, but yeah, it's that pre-chorus riff, it kicked my ass. I was like, whoa, holy shit, okay.
Yeah, it's a cool one. It reminds me of Avenged Sevenfold, like very much so. Yeah, it's really cool. It could serve as a chorus on its own, is how like cool it is. But yeah, it goes really well with like the actual chorus. I think it stands tall. Also, I wanted to comment on the lyrics of Oysters.
Yes.
So the lyrics are actually, the song is actually about Mike's, Mike used to work in a restaurant before the pandemic hit. It was this high class restaurant in Richmond Hill. And the lyrics to the song are, at least in the first verse, I believe, are almost word for word how he would greet a customer at the restaurant. So sort of like, good evening, like, what can I get for you kind of thing. So if you read over the lyrics for Oysters, you know, you may feel like you're being served by Mike, you know, and you may want to order some fancy dish after listening to it. But yeah, just going back to Mike's lyric writing, very, very cleverly written. Yeah, just like very cool to take literally how you would greet customers at a restaurant and make it artistic and put it into a song. So
it's almost like I get the vibe from him. It's almost like he just writes how he would speak. Like, am I right on that assumption? Kind of like,
I would say so. Because knowing Mike, his lyrics come very naturally. He'll listen to us play the music and he'll sort of just sit there and with his lyric book out, and he'll be like, okay, and lyrics just come to him. So, I mean, in a way, you're right about that, because it's so natural. The lyrics come so naturally. Nothing is forced. So, yeah, it's very genuinely written lyrics.
Right on. That's awesome. And I mean, I was curious what, kind of where it came from, because I was like, it's a very lyrically a very interesting song. So that's funny to hear. Even like even that first verse, it's like what's going on here? But yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Definitely an awesome way to kind of start to wind down the EP, as we head into the final track, which of course is To the Gallows, which, as much as I love Crooked Girl and Oysters and Baby Doll and Blow, I still think for me, just I gotta say that To the Gallows, I think it's still gotta be my favorite track. I love it, but I get made fun of a lot because a lot of my favorite songs on albums and EPs tend to be either the very last song for some reason or the very first song. I don't know why. I'm a big fan of openers and closers, more closers than anything. And like, you know, what can be said about To the Gallows that hasn't been said? Like, it's this huge epic song, and it's such a cool kind of almost like right step for you guys, where like it's different, it's heavy, it's dark, but then it's still very much you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, To the Gallows. I don't know how much I talked about it last time I was on the Hotter Show, but it's definitely a very different song. We've never written a song like To the Gallows before. And it came about. Cecil was sort of like messing around with one of his delay pedals or something, and the pedal was creating these like very weird effects, and that's sort of how it started out, and everything came together from there. Lyrically, so this is my favorite part of To the Gallows, and I'm probably one of the only guys in One in the Chamber that is a fan of concepts music. So like where music will either connect to another song or like we'll have like a theme to like the music and stuff. But I'm a big fan of that, big fan of prog. And so To the Gallows lyrically is a prequel to Something to Say off of I've Got Something to Say. So, from what I gather from Mike, it's about fallen angel or something like that. So where Something to Say is the angel sort of like on this rampage on Earth, stealing souls or whatever. And I might be mistaken in describing it, but To the Gallows being a prequel is the angel sort of falling from heaven to hell and being granted sort of like, you know, a second chance, but you have to sort of collect souls for like the devil. And like the first lyrics, I've broken free from the shackles, kind of like this angel's on earth. And it's like, I'm free from where I've fallen. And it's a very, very fascinating song to me. Again, Mike's writing, Mike and Cecil, I'm fascinated. Maybe it's because I'm not the greatest lyricist, but their writing is phenomenal.
And it's a heavy song lyrically too, right? Like very, very metal. Like if, you know, it would lend itself well to a metal band.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, on the other hand, there's the whole concept story part of the lyrics, but I think the lyrics can also be relatable in a general sense,
right?
You know, breaking free of, you know, a mundane routine or like breaking free of whatever. And it's just sung so emotionally that I think it's very relatable in a lot of ways. My late mom, God rest her soul, was a huge fan of that song and those lyrics, you know. And when I hear that song, actually, I think of her. It's good memories. But she was a big fan of like breaking free and you know, feeling liberated, and I think those are great things to feel.
Well, that's it, man. I mean, it's beautiful too that you have that, right? And you can think about her and that song and everything. And it's such a powerful song, even like vocally in the chorus. Like he's so, I think out of any of the songs vocally with just the lyrical content and how he's really getting that grit in the final, like he's really pushing in that chorus. Like it's just, I get goosebumps even thinking about it, man. I really love the everything in that whole song, guitar, drums, bass, everything. But like, yeah, vocally, like, yeah, you can't touch him in that song for sure.
Absolutely. Gosh, I remember sitting in the recording studio, listening to Mike recording that song, and I was blown away. Like I thought I'd heard it all from him, and then right from the beginning, he belted out that wail, that yell right at the beginning of To the Gallows, and I was like, holy, like I'm so glad Mike is my singer.
Yeah, right. It's like, man, I'm glad he's with us. Like,
yeah.
Well, then what gets me is like that. There's at one point where he like almost like rolls an R for a second, but he does it like mid wail. He's like, I'm like, how is he doing that? Like, what the hell? Like, it's very impressive stuff for sure.
Absolutely, like just very passionate. And that song is, I would say, 80% vocals. Like the vocals just make it what it is.
Right.
And then add the atmospheric music and the groove that the groovy drums.
Yeah, he really holds it down on that song and is tasteful,
Yeah, yeah. And then, the two opposing guitar solos, one is very Cecil, very jazzy, I'll say, like a bit dark, a bit creepy. And then you got Mike with this huge rock guitar solo. And I think the contrast is really cool. I think it makes the song stand out that there's these two very different guitar solos, but they're in the same song. And it's just like, I think it's very cool. And it also hopefully makes us stand out as a band, a band that
for sure
is not just like one dimensional or whatever. Like we just throw in whatever we feel sounds cool. So
that's it, man. Well, and I think overall, like Reload is such a great look into you guys as musicians and what you guys bring to the table and why you are one of those bands that are just, even though, yes, the last couple of years have been, a bit of a struggle, you guys have been able to still keep momentum and be able to kind of come out of this reloaded and ready to go to just take on the world with this EP, man. And it's such an awesome EP. And I mean, I can't wait to see you guys just keep kicking ass and taking names all over the place, man. I'm excited. And I think that, this is just the beginning for you guys really heading into this year now in 2022 and just getting ready to freaking take on the world, man.
I appreciate it. We're really happy to have finally put out this music. It's about time, and it feels great. It's not just the amazing feedback we've received, but even just finally moving forward after 2 years feels really great and fulfilling, and so we're extremely happy to finally have this music out for people to listen to.
That's it, man. Well, I mean, it's been a pleasure getting to chat with you, dude, and getting to kind of break these songs down and give a little background on Reload. I appreciate the time. If people want to go support One in the Chamber, where can they find you guys to do so?
So you can go to our website, www.oitcband.com. If you're on social media, we're on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok, all at OITC Band. We're also on YouTube as One in the Chamber. Yeah, you can find us pretty much anywhere. Spotify as well. Spotify, Apple Music, all of the music streaming services. Just look up One in the Chamber and enjoy the ride.
Hell yeah, man. Christian, thanks so much, man. Always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me on, TJ.
All right, folks, there you have it. The Hotter Show Music Showcase presenting One in the Chamber's brand new EP, Reload, featuring some fun commentary from my buddy, Christian Dotto, who is the bass player for One in the Chamber. Always a blast getting to chat with him. And what can I say? Badass EP. I hope that you guys enjoyed that episode as much as I did. A lot of laughs and fun little tangents and things of that nature. Anytime I chat with Chris, it's going to be a great time. And I hope you guys had a great time. If you did enjoy it, be sure to go check out One in the Chamber. I'll have some links down below for their website, and as well as go check out the EP because it's badass, absolutely badass, as you guys heard. But if you want to listen to it more, go check it out, stream it, download it, all that fun stuff. Because One in the Chamber deserve your support. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave a review if you can. Reviews help this show grow a lot. And be sure to hit that subscribe button. Follow us on the social media. We have the Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter all at The Hotter Show. And if you would like to either be on the show or you have a comment or a question or anything like that, hit me up anytime at the email at thehottershow@gmail.com. I also just launched a Discord. That's right, a Discord in which I'm going to jump on and do fun things like doing live editing or live hangouts. I'm going to be doing more content on the Discord as time goes on and as we join up. But for now, I've already done a couple live sessions with some people, and it was a lot of fun. So if you have Discord, hit me up and I will send you the link to join. Or you can check out my link tree, which is just linktr.ee/The Hotter Show, and you will find the link to join the Discord in there. So come hang out, be a part of the Discord community. We have already been having a lot of fun there. I have a little jam space area, I call it, which is for posting music, and there's a meme mayhem, which I'm going to be getting more active in, and a lot of fun conversations are going to be had over at the Hotter Show Discord channel. So go check it out. And if you would like to support the show a little more, consider joining the Patreon that I have set up for the Hotter Show. We have a new patron, a brand new hothead that we need to welcome into the fold. And I could not be more excited to welcome in Ronan Kumori. I apologize if I'm butchering your name, my friend, but Ronan Kumori, who is actually a big supporter of the Grey Room. That's how I know Ronan. And he has come into the Hotter Show Patreon family at the $10 tier. So Ronan, thank you so very much. I cannot thank you enough for not only your support of the show and just being a wonderful person to interact with. Ronan and I have actually had quite a few conversations about music. So I would love to to keep picking your brain on that, my friend. And I know that I'll be seeing you in the Discord, the Hotter Show Discord jam space, sharing some tuneskis. And I can't thank you enough for supporting the show on Patreon. We are doing some really fun stuff on the Patreon. I cannot wait. At the end of this month, you guys are going to have a brand new show that I'm going to be launching. That is going to be something I've never really done before. And I'm very, very excited to be doing that. And also, I have to give a huge shout out to the patrons who have been with me now for a little while. My man, Mr. Scotty D, who is a longtime patron and basically OG supporter of the Hotter Show. Scotty, thank you so very much for all your support, my brother. You know how much I love you. And next time I see you, I give you the big old bear hug, because Scott's my buddy and I miss him. I haven't seen him in a hot minute. So, big shout outs again to Scotty. And a humongous shout out to the Grey Rooms podcast for their support of my show, not only as patrons, but also, sharing my show on their feed. Always being great about sharing their staff, so to speak, with me to have on. I had Cassie on just a couple of weeks ago. I've had Jason on. I've had Brooks on. And more to come from the Grey Rooms as well here on the Hotter Show. So humongous shout outs to them. If you, for some reason, have not checked out the Grey Rooms and you are a fan of storytelling podcasts or audio drama podcasts, go check them out, because they are awesome. And if you would like a little shout outs like that at the end of every episode of the Hotter Show, consider joining the Patreon. On top of that, you'll also get some fun behind the scenes stuff. It's some exclusive content that, like I said, is going to be coming out at the end of this month. I'm going to be officially launching that. And lots of other fun stuff to come. I'm going to be setting a new goal coming very soon, which is going to be $60 a month. And we are well on our way to hitting that goal. And man, I'm really excited. The upgrades I've already been able to make to the show's audio quality, and it's going to keep getting better. I'm still getting used to Adobe Edition. It's still a work in progress. But you know, it's been so much fun. And I, again, can't thank everybody enough for helping me reach that goal so quickly, to the point where I have had to, like I was saying last week, kind of had to scramble to, to start getting some content going. Because I thought I'd have a couple of months to get things ready. But that's okay. It's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have. But yeah, I cannot wait to keep seeing the Patreon grow on the Discord, and just come hang out. Now is the time to jump on and be a hothead and come be a part of the Discord. Discord is totally free, but there is also going to be some Patreon exclusive content on the Discord. So either come join the Discord, follow us on social media, or come become a member of the Hotheads family over at the Patreon, patreon.com/The Hodder Show. And with that, folks, I'm going to sign off here tonight. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. Going to hit you with the old patented audio fist bump. That's right. Only here on The Hodder Show am I going to punch my microphone as the send-off. Oh, God, when you do something as a joke once and you do it then for ever. It's just your thing. All right, I'm rambling. I'm signing off. Thank you guys so very much for all the support. You know how much I love you. And I'll catch you next time on The Hodder Show. Take it easy, guys.